What is up, everyone? Apollo PS2 here, and today we are going to be expanding on last video's discussion surrounding the new Nanoweave nerf. The difference here is that I want to widen the scope a bit based on some new information we have to talk about suit slots and their future in general. First off, however, I need to give a huge thank you to those who have subscribed over the past few days. We saw 9 new subs within a day after my top 10 Planetside weapons in 2021 video came out, and another 19 after my last video so far. I know on my Twitch I've got a charity stream goal at 325 followers, which we are 12 away from, but now I'm thinking I'll have to do a montage for crossing 50 subs on YouTube, so stay tuned. With that out of the way, I'd like to begin by going over the new information that is the basis for this video. First off, Rel was gracious enough to comment on my video after work hours to help clarify the purpose and design direction for the nerf. He said, and I quote, "The Nanoweave change, and a bunch of other changes that people haven't seemed to discover yet, made it to PS4 before they were intended to. It would have been nice to provide some context to the changes and the entirety of the nerf itself, but it is what it is. For your awareness, the actual change is the 10% base movement speed reduction, and that it no longer provides resistances to heavy assault shield. The goal of this particular change is to uproot the current meta at the highest levels, while leaving its value intact for lower skilled players. One of the main differences between the two that is the upper level players rely a lot on movement mechanics like shuffling and repeaking to lengthen the time to kill, and lower level players don't at all. If you see less use at the highest levels, those WTF engagements will feel a bit better overall. Additionally, Symbiote will no longer provide small arms resist when the update hits officially. Enjoy." What we learned from this is that, first, the nerf making its way to the PS4 live servers was a mistake, and that other new player experience changes are also out there and have not been discovered yet. This has got to suck to have that happen towards the end of the work week for sure. Second, the nerf includes Nanoweave no longer stacking with heavy shields. This is a mostly welcome change since it was a popular opinion that Nanoweave should never have been stacked with heavy overshields to begin with. Third, the intended design appears to be for veteran players to be swayed towards other suit slot options, while having Nanoweave still be useful to newer players. The justification here is that more experienced players have already learned the movement metas and benefit from a faster player model more so than a newer player who has no clue what things like shuffling and repeaking even are. Last, Rel confirms that Symbiote will have its small arms resistance buff removed, and I believe it can be safely assumed that it will be reworked to provide something else since that was its only benefit. My initial response to Rel's comment is as follows. Starting out by thanking him for the time to comment on my video, I said that the addition of not providing resistance to the heavy assault shields makes this a more palatable change, since it is a way to elevate other options while still thinking about the metaphorical low battle rank medic using Nanoweave. I reiterated my wish to test out this new nerf in addition to testing out what a live server may look like without Nanoweave entirely. I restated that my opinion is still that this does not answer the question of why did I die, since we still have inconsistent damage systems. Now that I've had some time to fully digest things, I think it is important to add some counter arguments to this design direction. Of course, all this may have been tested already and my points don't truly hold up, but my gut reaction to this nerf is that it will widen the disparity between the aim and headshot ratios of veterans and those of newer players, since it encourages newer players to move more slower now than everyone else. I believe this is an important consideration because while Planetside 2's typical 2x headshot multiplier is standard in many other games, its lengthy time to kill is not. For example, let's say it takes the average new player 4 seconds to kill a veteran it gets the drop on, and the veteran has a 50% headshot ratio compared to 0% for the newer player. I know the numbers are an exaggeration, but with this setup, the veteran can kill the new player in 2/3 the time on average, and the new player would then have to get a 1 1/3 seconds of an advantage to even have a chance. This is not accounting for other game systems like shuffling, medkit chugging, flinch, and a whole host of implants, all of which complicate the issue in favor of the veteran. I think this nerf, with newer players becoming slowed down, exacerbates it further. That headshot divide is bound to grow higher when all of a sudden my target is moving slower. In my opinion, this is a minor improvement, moving from a WTF engagement that the new player has no say in to a WTF engagement that they can avoid once they take the time to learn what's going on. Which, if you know new players, they won't be doing much of that before just moving on from Planetside. These thoughts also made me think that if we want to create a new player experience that is more akin to other popular shooters, it might be worth lowering the headshot multiplier from 2 to something like 1.8 on most guns to counteract the difference in time to kill and give it a more familiar feel. Feel free to discuss that idea in the comment section. Additionally, there are other ripple effects to a nerf like this. Masses of slower players give a sizable advantage to organized point-holding outfits when holding against hordes of public platoons that are trying to breach at 90% of the speed for many of their players. It tips the scale more in favor of folks staying behind spawn room shields and needing to pull a max to get anything done, both of which, in my opinion, are not good for the game. In the end, one thing is clear. There are a lot of ideas being considered behind the scenes, and for good reason. This will be the most consequential update in Planetside 2's history, no doubt about it. I trust Rel and the rest of the dev team to quickly iterate on whatever we get in the new player experience update, as they've made it a focus to create amendable code over the past few years. I'd prefer pitchforks to stay in the shed at least until we get a dev letter. Anyways, enough on all that though. Rel was also kind enough to share some other new details about the update on Discord, which sheds some more light on the intended direction of the suit slot. He mentioned that the ammunition belt, the long laughed at suit slot, may be altered to also give a reload speed buff to those who choose it. This is especially intriguing since it is a great way to make what was a useless suit slot competitive in a veteran's eyes even in comparison to Nanoweave. It also caters to an aggressive playstyle of someone who may like to breach points, which is what this game needs more of in my opinion. It is important though for a change like this to not go overboard. I'm thinking 2 ranks each with a 5% reduction in reload speed may be enough, but it can quickly become overpowered. Rel also mentioned that grenade bandolier may be changed from letting you store up to 4 grenades when resupplying to providing you with a grenade every X number of seconds, akin to the ammo printer implant. I think that this is an interesting take since it makes grenade bandolier more dynamic and functional for interesting playstyles. I'm imagining point holds again being buffed since it is currently hard for players to remember to save their utility for the last few minutes of a capture. This change would take the thinking out of it. It appears like this would need some new tech, however, and might take some time to implement. Overall, I like what Rel is thinking of in relation to the other suit slots, making them true competitors to Nanoweave, and something to care about is a great thing, as long as they aren't too outlandish. I really want to hear what you think and what potentially new suit slots you can think of in the comments below. Maybe you can't come up with any specifics, but what sort of playstyles or player roles do today's suit slots not cater to? Are there any holes that need filling? Personally, anything that enhances those classic Planetside 2 moments that makes us stick around, while not being too gimmicky, since we have plenty of those, gets 2 big thumbs up from me. As always, consider liking, disliking, or subscribing, and find my socials below. Happy fragging.